Welcome to the games. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Kevin Valine. What's up, Kev?
Nothing much. How are you doing?
Doing well. We're a week away from the big day. Balan Wonderworld Day is just in
Yes.
seven
I'm so excited to
days.
talk about it. Oh man.
Me too. We're also joined by Zach Ross. How's it going, Zach?
I'm so excited for 1 week from today. It Takes Two Day. Everything comes out that day.
Everything, everything
Busy
comes
day.
out that day.
That's when the year starts.
I think My Hero
Christmas.
Yep.
Academia, the new season, even starts that day. I think it's just
Why are they all
all.
picking the
Bunch of
26th?
amiibo.
Yep, ton of amiibo. Six amiibo. What is that? Anyways, that's not for this week's show. A lot of stuff happened this week we're going to talk about. Square Enix had their first Square Enix Presents. Sony showed off a new controller for the next PSVR, and a lot more happened. So let's start right off with that Square Enix presentation. So we knew basically what it was going to be about going into it. New Life is Strange, updates on Avengers, a couple of other things, and they mostly stuck to that script. So Project Athia is officially called Forspoken, was one of the bigger announcements, and it's set to come out in 2022. Black Panther's coming to Marvel's Avengers. Life is Strange True Colors was announced, along with a Life is Strange remastered collection. Hawkeye, new look at him coming to Avengers for the few people that still do care about that
30
game.
people that are still playing Avengers.
Outriders got a new deep dive. It's coming out in just a couple weeks on April 1st. Tomb Raider trilogy with all three of the new Tomb Raider games for $20. Just Cause Mobile, Hitman Sniper Assassins, and an AR Space Invaders game. And a couple other smaller things. Balan Wonderworld got a new co-op trailer. So overall, what do you guys think of the group of announcements that we got in this presentation?
Overall, I think it was okay. I don't think it was a particularly amazing presentation. I went into it knowing I'd only be interested in a couple things: Life is Strange, Tomb Raider. I was pleasantly surprised by Forspoken. I think they spent way too much time on Outriders right off the bat. And then those little interspersed things like the mobiles, all that crap, you don't care about. So overall, most of the good stuff came towards the end. Even the Tomb Raider announcement wasn't particularly special. So I feel like it was a pretty
We're getting the
poor.
cookbook. What are you talking about?
The cookbook. Oh, yeah, right. Got to make those
Yeah.
Tomb Raider inspired meals. I don't even know what they remotely could be. I've played all the games. I don't think there was
No
any
food
food ever
in
in
there.
any of the games.
She
So
never eats. Laura Croft never eats.
I don't think she ever eats, now that I think about it. But it's like one of those things, like they never go to the bathroom, they never eat. That's just not something that happens.
Okay.
So I'm not entirely sure. And then a cheap collection, that's good. But hopefully, a big part of the Tomb Raider announcement was they're like more to come. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe they actually will have an announcement for the 25th anniversary. Who knows? But this presentation overall, only okay. I think the last part of it with the Life is Strange leading into Forspoken, that was the best part, the meatiest part of the presentation, the part where I was most focused. So it finished off strong, but I think started off very weak.
Kevin, overall thoughts?
I think it helped that they tempered expectations with
Mhm.
letting people know what was coming in ahead of time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they've got the Forspoken kind of not bombshell exactly, but a reveal at the end, and that was nice to have that as kind of the closer that you're not necessarily expecting.
Yeah.
But I think with all of the other announcements, when you go in expecting these things and you go in picking the things that you're going to be interested in, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit harder to get too disappointed. You're not going to get blown away, but it's like, this is what I expected. This is what I got. And I think that for this presentation, and specifically with what they had to show off, I think that it was the right move to let people know ahead of time. Because if they didn't, I feel like a lot more people would be disappointed. But because they did, I think most people are in the camp of like, it wasn't mind-blowing, but going in, that's what I expected.
Yeah, fine. I think that honestly, it's just I'm starting to get a little fatigued of all these Nintendo Direct style presentations. I don't think every single developer out there needs to do one like this, and everybody is. Like I get it for the big three of Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, but when you have Square Enix or EA or Ubisoft Connect or whatever it's called, just doing all these mini presentations, it's like I don't know. I'm starting to feel like it's oversaturation. Even the Capcom Resident Evil event, like I just everyone has to deliver this information in a live stream styled this way nowadays. I don't know. I think that I'm starting to think that it's a bit too much, and I might end up missing that news dump that we get in when E3 used to take place in the middle of June. But now it's, as we've talked about on the show before, companies saying, hey, I can have my own slice of time where no one else is doing a presentation. And that makes more sense for them because the spotlight's on them. We wouldn't spend as much time talking about Square Enix today had Nintendo and Sony and Ubisoft and all these other companies also done something. We would only spend a couple minutes glossing over what they talked about. But here we are leading our show with it. So it works for them, but I just think that I'm going to end up getting fatigued of every company doing something like this.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, it could be a similar thing to E3 where you kind of pick and choose some of the presentations that you're going to watch. Like for example, if EA comes out and they're like, hey, we're going to be doing these showcases, I'm not going to watch that. Like, I'll just look at it later and see if there was anything that I, remotely care about. If there's like some Mass Effect thing that you got to see or something. But it may turn into one of those things where it's like, I don't really care about what they're bringing to the table. So I'm just not going to watch. And I feel like E3 was kind of similar. Again, EA, I hadn't watched their presentation in years. So maybe you just get more selective as more and more companies come along with their showcases, and you just pick the companies that you really care about, that you want to know what's up with their games.
Yeah. But Zach, we should talk about Life is Strange True Colors. We've both played the entire franchise, and now a new entry is coming out. I thought it was going to be Life is Strange 3, but it's not. It has this different subtitle. It's coming out September 10th, and it is not being developed by Don't Nod, who is the studio behind Life is Strange 2, Tell Me Why, and Twin Mirror. Instead, it's developed by Deck 9, who also developed Life is Strange Before the Storm, which is the prequel to Life is Strange 1. That's my least favorite of any Life is Strange thing, is Before the Storm. I really didn't like it. But I think that was more just because of the characters I didn't really care for, not necessarily because the quality was lower. So my hopes are still high for this. I thought it looked good. New protagonist, Alex Chen, who can basically feel people's emotions. Goes to another small town. Choice-based gameplay. Looks like a Life is Strange game. Zach, what'd you think?
Overall, it did definitely feel like a Life is Strange game. It kicked off with the indie music, the rural town in Colorado. It is definitely Life is Strange. It's got that feel to it. I do like the way they're going with the powers. The empath. The empath is a more recent type of superhero power, but it has been cropping up here and there. Even one of the Avengers is an empath, so there's a lot they could do with it. Excited to see how they work it into the gameplay, because they said it would have major role in how the game shapes itself and how you can play the game. So, and that's why they named it True Colors, is because the emotions that she sees around people are different colors. So like red for angry, blue for sad, stuff like that. So I'm excited for that. It's a murder-ish mystery, seems like, which could be cool. It seems like these first Life is Strange was similar in solving a mystery, so it might be playing more towards the first one. I think that Before the Storm looked very good. I know they can make a very pretty Life is Strange game, and at least this time they won't be constrained by the story beats of the first game, so they'll have more freedom to do whatever they want. I do trust Deck 9 to make this game. I'm not surprised at all, because Don't Nod has been pumping games out left and right. So this doesn't really surprise me that they shove this one off to a different developer. So I've got my eye on it, and it's coming out this year. And one of the biggest things is that it's coming out all at one time. So it's not going to be, it will be episodic, but you're going to be able to play every episode on September 10th, the initial release date, which is good.
Which I think we talked about with Tell Me Why, that it makes a lot of sense to go this route and just release it as a full game on one day. So I'm happy to see that change. It's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it looked really nice. It's the first one with full mocap, they said, for the actors, which I thought was evident. I thought that it looked really nice when some of the movements and all the previous Life is Strange games are pretty stiff in the cutscenes and things like that. So that was a noticeable difference. And yeah, I think it looks more visually advanced than the other games in this franchise, and I'm looking forward to it. And Don't Nod is working on a new IP they announced earlier this year, so they're going in a different direction for the time being. So to see Life is Strange continue even with a different developer, I think is a good thing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure. Apparently, one of the characters in the trailers from Before the Storm, but I don't remember them at all.
Yeah, okay, I saw that too. I was like, I don't remember who this character is even a little bit, so I might have to replay Before the Storm
to get the one character.
Yeah, but if it's important,
maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. But that was the Square Enix event, and they already announced another one for later this summer, which we'll probably see maybe some more Final Fantasy stuff if it comes out. Final Fantasy VII Remake before Intergrade comes out this summer. So yeah, that's that. Let's move on though to some PlayStation news. So Play at Home, they added Ratchet and Clank, which Kevin's been playing, and they said that there would be more to come throughout the summer, and now we know a good amount of what is coming on the way. 10 more games are coming to the Play at Home initiative this year, which is pretty crazy. Abzu, The Witness, Enter the Gungeon, Subnautica, Res Infinite, and then a handful of PSVR options: Moss, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Paper Beast, and Thumper. And then on April 19th, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is going to be available to download for free. And just to set the stage, this is free forever, added to your library, no strings attached. 10 games, a handful are PSVR, which a lot of people don't have, but I think this is an outstanding lineup. And then, just like we're seeing Ratchet and Clank go free before Rift Apart comes out, we're going to see Horizon Zero Dawn go free before Horizon Forbidden West comes out. And I just think that this is just really great news all around.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount of games that they were offering. With Ratchet and Clank coming out, I assumed it was just kind of going to be like a one game a month thing. And if they were going to do Horizon Zero Dawn, that would have been the game for the month. And I would have been fine with that. I would, like, even though I own it and have played it, I think that'd be a cool pickup for a lot of people to get the complete edition for free. But the fact that they come in here with a bunch of these other games that, you know, I've thought about before. Subnautica I've heard is very good, and Abzu, The Witness. There's some good stuff in here, and PSVR as well. Like, we'll talk about PSVR a little bit later, so maybe I get a PSVR at some point, and those things are in my library whenever I have time to sit down and play them. Like,
yeah, the PSVR thing is a big win-win, because for people who have a PSVR, they're getting some games they might not have, and for people who don't have it, they're incentivized to get a PSVR down the line, because they're amassing a library, because there's some PSVR games are finally joining PS Plus. And then you have this 4 free games to just add to your library, including the best VR game, Astrobot Rescue Mission. So I think it's a win if you have VR and if you don't for these free games, because it's not just VR games either. There's stuff for just regular PS4 and PS5 also. So yeah, this is an awesome initiative that is probably a response to Game Pass in some sense.
Like that. And this isn't even it, right? This runs through June, right?
Yeah.
So beyond these games and Horizon Zero Dawn, there's probably going to be at least one more set of games, if not maybe 2, that come out before this initiative is over. Like, there's still more to look forward to beyond this, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And Moss is a VR game I've wanted to pick up for a long time. I feel like I've mentioned that one to Zach numerous times, that I've wanted to play that one, is the mouse, and I'm excited to add that to my library, even though I still can't play my PSVR.
Any update on that?
On my PS5. Nope. Nothing.
Oh my God.
No update. I looked on eBay the other day to see if I could like buy a cheap adapter, but they're like $60 that people are selling the ones they got.
Because no one has one.
Yeah.
20 people have
gotten
gotten
I was listening to a different podcast, and 2 of the people on it were like, I never got my adapter, so I'm not the only one. This is apparently kind of a big issue that people aren't getting their adapters. But speaking of PSVR, they showed off the new controllers for next-gen VR on PS5, and it's extremely different than the Wand PS Move controllers that have been hanging around for like a decade at this point, since the PS3. So new controllers, they have control sticks on them. They've got grips. They've got better sensing technology. They look a lot different, and I'm pretty excited that they're already showing off the controller because to me that says that PSVR's upgrade is closer than I think a lot of us might have thought it was.
Well, I mean, the last thing that they talked about was basically just like it's going to be coming out. Like it was the base level, just like it still exists and it will come to PS5 eventually. And from what I got from that was just like, all right, they're just reassuring us that it's coming, but we're probably not going to learn about it for a little while. They're probably focusing on other things. So to get a reveal like this with the controllers and most of their features, I was a little surprised that it came this early.
Yeah, there's a couple exciting features here in the controller. They talked about adaptive triggers, haptic feedback. So stuff you're getting in the DualSense is going to be in these new PSVR controllers. And tracking, it says the VR controller is tracked by the new VR headset through a tracking ring across the bottom of the controller, which tells me you're not going to have to plug in a camera. And because PSVR, the way it works is it has the lights on the headset and then the glowing lights on either the DualShock 4 or on the Move controllers. And if the camera can't pick up those lights, then it can't sense you, which means you can't do 360 movement in VR. So, and then the mess of cables is another barrier to that. So it sounds like the headset's going to be able to track these things, which is huge because it means whatever way you turn, the headset will most likely be able to know where your hands are also, which I think is going to make it a lot more free. Probably not as free as like a Quest, which is a totally device-free VR system, but
isn't that also
something like that.
Is that the one? The Quest? Is that Steam's?
No, the Quest 2 is like $300.
Okay, I was thinking of Steam's. That was
yeah, that's Oculus, so it's Facebook's, which is cheap, but you have to have a Facebook account.
Cool.
Which is lame. But yeah, I thought this looked cool. Kind of weird the rollout for the VR news. It's like they're just like, oh, here's another blog post about VR, but we don't know a name or when it's coming. It's kind of weird that they're just dropping random information bit by bit, I think.
Zach, any thoughts on PSVR? You gonna pick one up?
I mean, ever since playing Logan's, I've always been semi-interested in VR, but it's a big commitment to make, especially in this late in the game for PS4. But looking forward towards PS5 VR, I mean, if there is more freedom of movement, you know, I actually had a good chance to look at the new controller mock-up, so I'm not even sure what it looks like. So I'm not sure at this point, but I've always been semi-interested in if that library is building up. I mean, Astrobot's the best VR game of all time, so who knows?
I think it's just good that, like, looking at PS4 and PSVR on PlayStation 4, it looked like they kind of designed it around what they already had. You have the PlayStation Move controllers, and you have the PS4 controller, and you use those in tandem to try and put this whole thing together. But it looks like here they don't have that holding them back, and they can just design it however they want purely for PSVR. You know, obviously using features from the DualSense, like the haptic feedback and all that sort of stuff, but to be able to truly design it for PSVR and not have to incorporate Move controllers or something like that, it's its own thing, is exciting, I think.
Yeah, and PSVR is just so cumbersome with the extra processor unit you have to hook up, and just it's an octopus of cords to set that thing up. And I think that what we learned last time is just going to be a single plugin to the PS5, and I think that plus the added power of the PS5, which will lead to better performance in the headset, and we're going to see better resolution. I think that whatever VR comes to PS5, I think it's going to be much more competitive with the PC or the standalone VR headsets, because PSVR was lagging pretty hard behind in technology compared to the other VR headsets on the market, especially as the years went by, and PSVR never got iterated upon, and these new ones just kept coming out. So I think it's really cool that we're going to see a console VR leap that will hopefully catch up somewhere close to what the guys are doing with PCs, because I think that it's much more likely that people would pick up a VR on PS5 than have a rig strong enough to run some of these super powerful games. Like you said, $1,000. Yeah, some VR headsets run that, and that's just not feasible for most consumers. So I think it's great that they are sticking with it. especially when the PSVR didn't sell like crazy. But just to see that, I think it's cool that that's something that they're continuing on with into the PS5 generation.
Yeah. And if I do ever pick one of these things up, I'll at least have a couple of games that I can play right off the bat.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. All right. Quick story here. Disco Elysium release date set for March 30th. So coming to PlayStation, PC, Google Stadia with the Final Cut version, which has a ton of added content. I think this is a game that all of us are pretty interested. Zach has played some of it, and Kevin and I, we've had our eyes on it for quite some time.
Yeah, now would be the time to hop in with this Final Cut. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of extra content. Zach, would this be something that you'd hop back into? Like, where was the point where you stopped? Like, how many hours?
So I was playing it with a friend of mine on PC. We got about 5-6 hours in. Some, story beats were hit. Definitely fell in love with the game. It is so charming, very well written, very enthralling, interesting. Characters are funny. So it's definitely something I'm interested in. I want to play more of it. I wasn't expecting it to come out so soon. That's hitting right in the heart of I've got 1,000 other things to play time. So
around March 26th.
I'm probably going to have to shelve it for a little while. That game is fairly long. I think it's like a 30-hour game. So it is a bit of a commitment. I want to get to it at some point. I just don't know when it's going to be. And I'd want to play it on PS5.
So then maybe,
I think that's where I'll end up playing it too. It's coming to Switch as well, right? At some point.
I believe so.
Was it?
Thought it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I may have dreamed that, but I'm pretty sure it's coming to Switch at some point, but just not right away. But anyways, whether it is,
yes,
or it isn't,
it is.
that's something.
Xbox and Switch releases are currently set for sometime this summer, apparently.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, I think PS5 would be a cool place to play that game. Coming March 30th. Over on the Xbox side now, a bunch of new RPGs are coming to Xbox Game Pass, including Octopath Traveler, Yakuza 6, Nier Automata, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, and more. So you're really going hard on the RPGs. Also, Outriders is launching on Game Pass on April 1st, which we mentioned earlier with the Square Enix presentation. So yeah, Octopath Traveler. That's a big deal. It's been a Switch exclusive for quite a while. And then it was on PC and Stadia, but now it's coming to other real consoles.
Yeah.
And coming to Game Pass. That's a huge game. That's an over 100-hour game if you do everything coming to Game Pass, which is pretty neat. A game that I still never finished. But yeah, Yakuza 6, they've been adding all of those lately as well. But man, Game Pass just keeps looking better and better, and it makes getting an Xbox really, really tempting.
So if I'm reading this right, this is the first time Undertale's on Xbox?
Is that true?
That's what I was reading. That was why it was a big deal. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I had not thought about that.
If I'm not, I'm baffled that it wasn't on Xbox beforehand.
Yeah.
Because I think that's why they were making such a big deal out of it. Not only is it coming to Game Pass, but it's coming to Xbox. So
yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah, well, no, it's on PlayStation and Switch at this point, so I'd be surprised if it wasn't on Xbox, but I never really gave it much thought.
But either way,
a lot of indies like that sometimes do just go to PlayStation and Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox
just skip Xbox.
Trying to make it
Xbox isn't the biggest indie machine.
But yeah, these announcements are pretty crazy, coming off of all of the Bethesda games that dropped on there just very recently. To have another list of games with this many highlighted titles is really impressive. That library is getting crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And shorter news week. Just had Square Enix think through other stories, but that is it in the news this time.
All right, so if that covers it for the news this week, I guess we'll move on briefly to what we've been playing. I know I've been playing played a little bit of stuff together. We'll probably finish off with that, but starting off with me, I did a little bit more Mario 64. The game is infuriating. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh my God.
Where are you at? What is infuriating? What level are you on?
I'm not even okay.
The still only on Bob on Battlefield here? I can't do it.
The first level. Absolutely infuriating. No, okay. So you know how you fight Bowser the first time? I didn't know you fought him multiple times throughout the game, but apparently you do. And the first time you fight him, right before you fight him, there's just an obstacle course you have to do to get to him. And I was like, okay, I'll get all the red coins. And I just kept, I lost all my lives trying to get the red coins. And I thought, this
Why
is
did you try to
stupid.
get the red coins?
I don't know. I thought, don't you get a star when you get all the red coins?
Yeah.
I think you do, but you don't
Just,
have
I'm trying to
do
stack
that.
stars so I can beat the game, which I guess
That's
is just
like
what you're
if you're
supposed
like,
to do.
oh, I'm gonna stack stars by getting all the 100 coins in each of the areas, just doing all the bogus.
I didn't. Okay. And then I just tried to turn around, but he had a wide turn radius sometimes, so he'd just fall off and then
Yep.
jumping, and it's infuriating. I get it. It's definitely showing its age. It's
Fury.
clunky. The cameras are terrible. I think I've only got like 15 stars at this point, but I'm making my way through it.
Got to do it. The year of
I'm
Mario.
not giving
you
up.
Can't, you
Yep.
can't give up on the
Year of
first
Mario.
game.
At the first game,
God,
I give
can't
up. That'd
beat
be
64.
devastating.
It
Let's
would
hope
be.
that it doesn't come to that. And then over the last few days, I picked up Hitman 2 cheap physical copy from GameStop, so I decided to play that. Shortly after finishing Hitman 1 not too long ago, Hitman 2 plays very similarly, picks up immediately where Hitman 1 left off. A few more quality of life improvements, shows when you're in a stealth area with a highlighted circle around you, easier access to the menu, faster saving, just some general quality of life improvements like that. And you have the ability to play all of the Hitman 1 levels in Hitman 2. So you can go back and play those with those improvements, which is nice. I've found that the levels in Hitman 2 are generally a little bit longer. I was coming in at around hour 15 to beat the ones in Hitman 1. I can't really get out of any of these levels under 2 hours. So each level's kind of a commitment, but they've all been fairly entertaining so far. My favorite one is Miami Racetrack. I told Logan that that's quite a fun level. It is really cool. Just a big,
really cool.
Big race in Miami. So really fun so far. I've done, I think, 4 out of the 6 areas. There's a couple DLC areas that I'll probably do tacked on to the end because those look fun as well. So probably gonna end up doing those at some point. Overall, yeah, just love the sandboxy stealth of Hitman. That I finally picked up the series since Logan was telling me about it. I don't think Logan's touched it since then, Hitman 3, but
still stuck on that.
So my PS5's kind of been out of commission the last couple of weeks. So
yeah,
I've been packing up and stuff.
Packing up, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But that led me to pick up a new game.
What game is that,
on
Logan?
the Nintendo Switch. Bravely Default 2.
Oh.
I'm playing it. I am playing a massive JRPG. If you guys, I don't know if you guys remember this, like 3 years ago, I was in a big gaming rut. Like, how am I going to get out of this rut? And Octopath Traveler is what pulled me out of it. I never finished that game, but hey, it got me into something after I was really struggling to get into something. And so I figured maybe the same thing would happen with Bravely Default 2. And yeah, I am really enjoying it so far. I am just over 3 hours in. I have all 4 party members. I've completed the first dungeon, and I'm on my way to like the second main town. And it's really good. I really like it. Definitely that classic JRPG. You've heard it. It is. Like, that is absolutely true. But the music is great. The art is awesome, except for the character models, which I'm still not wild about. I will say they look better in engine when you're actually playing than they did in the trailers. I think that the characters always stuck out like a sore thumb to me in the world when I would see gameplay of this game, but actually playing it, I think if they look better than I thought they did. The battle system, it has the Brave and Default system from the original, where basically it's a risk reward system where you can choose to spend up to 3 actions a turn, but if you don't have any in the bank, you have to take turns recovering those actions until you get back up out of the negative to 0. Or you can default, which is banking an action, and you get up all the way to positive, in the positive, so when you spend those, you don't have to have turns later where you aren't able to spend any action. So it's pretty cool because I think it makes grinding a lot easier, because when you're just roaming around in the fields, you can just spam your actions, use 4 at a time, and just waste all the enemies and win in like a turn, which is really nice for grinding. Job system so far is cool. I have 4 different jobs that I can choose from, and you can swap at any time, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit so far. I don't really have any complaints about it. I'm just worried about when I hit that grindy wall that I
that's-
won't want to push through it.
That's what I was gonna ask. How long you think? Like, you think it's gonna last you longer than Octopath did? What, you got about 20 hours into Octopath Traveler. Like, obviously
Yeah,
you're
I
pretty
think
early
so.
on, but do you think it's gonna?
Yeah,
last
I think
longer?
so. Something I had forgotten about Octopath that I was reading about this week was that I forgot that the 8 characters don't talk to each other at all, and that
Oh, yeah,
everyone just
wasn't that
has
the
their
whole
own
thing where
story.
it was like it just like
Yeah,
the stories just didn't really intersect? Really?
yeah, which I had kind of forgotten about, and so that's something I enjoy is the party interactions and stuff are really fun, and I like the characters a lot. And I've heard that the grind doesn't hit until later, so maybe it'll be like Dragon Quest XI, where once you hit the grind, I'm so invested at that point that I push through. But Octopath, it was so early, and the jump was so big that it just wasn't worth it. So I think it's going to end up being a better balanced experience. And I read this whole interview about how the developers took some of that feedback from Octopath Traveler and put it into this game. So, yeah, I really like it so far. The story is basic JRPG fare. It is just the most basic setup of all time. Oh, you need to go get the crystals
Of
because
course.
the world is going to end and you're a hero of light. And that's basically it so far. Um, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's fun to get into a turn-based game because I feel like it's been a while since I played one of those. So I'm having a good time with it.
Nice. Before we get into the one game that we've all been playing, I beat Ratchet and Clank. Finally played
Nice.
through that
All right.
to completion. I think my thoughts on it are about the same as they were over the last couple of weeks. I think the combat is really good. I really like all the different guns that you can use. The upgrade trees are nice, and the fact that when you upgrade a gun to its like max level, at least in that initial playthrough, you get another perk on top of that, so it always keeps things fresh. I think the combat is the best part of the game. The game also still looks really good, especially those cutscenes from the movie, but then that gets into the issue of the story is just not very good, and I've heard that the original is just a lot better. There are so many times where things are just really disjointed, where it's like you can tell that some part of gameplay moved into this cutscene, but it was like something's missing, or like it doesn't have that impact, or like it feels different. Like you can feel that was from a different property, like it was from a movie and not from the game, which sucks because they look gorgeous, obviously, because they're from from the movie. But I think that brings the story down a lot, and it was to the point where I was playing it purely for the combat and purely for the world, because I also like the world. I like traveling to different planets. I think they're all unique and have certain levels of exploration where you can kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of the planets. So I was playing it for that and basically just ignored the story. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, and especially since it's free right now, still is for a little while, I think it doesn't hurt to hop in and play it purely for that combat, because it is fun. And, you know, you don't have to stick with it through to the end, but I think that what it offers in terms of gameplay is enough to warrant at least giving it a look and seeing if you enjoyed enough to play through to the end. And I feel like it's one that I think about platinuming at some point. Like, you need to go through a second playthrough on like the challenge difficulty, but you keep all of your upgrades and everything like that. So maybe like a little ways down the line, I can revisit it just to play through that combat again and maybe go for the platinum. But I had a good time with it, and it's gotten me to think twice about if I'm interested in Rift Apart. You know, obviously I don't have a PS5 and I'm not getting it for $70 at launch. But it went from something where I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in Ratchet and Clank to, you know, maybe that's something that I'll keep my eye on whenever I do get a PS5. And I think that's what they want by putting Ratchet and Clank onto this free program, is to get people thinking about the series.
I was going to say that about her. I feel like Horizon being part of this confirms to me that Horizon Forbidden West is coming out this year. Otherwise, I feel like they would have held this a little bit longer until we were closer to Forbidden West release date. Because if they drop it now and Forbidden West doesn't come out till next year, I feel like it could kind of fade from people's minds. But I think offering it free in the spring is a good indication we'll probably see this game in the fall.
Should be very exciting. I hope it comes out this year.
Yeah.
All right. It's been, a month since we were talking about doing this originally or something? It's been a long time.
Yeah,
we finally sat down and played Mario 3D World together for multiplayer. Got through the first 4 worlds, and besides one area where the frame rate really chugged those like rolling fuzzy dudes, it was solid. Like the connection was great. Um, I guess I'll say some thoughts first. Playing through most of the game single player, there is something about playing it multiplayer with a group where the insanity is just cranked up to another level, where you're accidentally picking people up, or some weird thing happens where you're trying to jump to the flag and like someone gets in the way. But I think it adds another level to the game of just that random stuff that can happen when you put 3 or 4 people together playing this game through. Like if you're going for all the collectibles, maybe it gets like kind of like a mess depending on who you play with, but I think it has a certain charm that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think that game it's just made for multiplayer. Like single player, the levels are a good time, but I think it's so much elevated when you do play with a couple of friends. I'm glad the online is here because I mean, you hop on Discord and you play with your friends, and it feels like local multiplayer on the couch.
Zach, you hadn't played it at all really before we sat down and played it. What were your thoughts going through?
My overall thoughts, I think it's pretty jarring going from 64 to this because this game is so much fun and just so entertaining. I absolutely loved playing it with you guys.
The shade on Mario 64. This game's actually fun to play.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how I would feel about the game playing it by myself. I definitely think that playing it with friends does up the experience quite a bit. But overall, the game, I think in terms of 3D platforming, it's very, it's got a lot of diversity in terms of what you actually do for the 3D platform. I think the fact that I'm playing with 2 people who have played the game, quite a bit, where all the coins and stars are, where everything is. So we're just like breezing through it. And then we get to the point where I start getting us all killed or.
But that's the fun though. And then when you have
exactly
1,200 lives or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. We immediately decided to use an exploit to get unlimited lives, and we were all cool with it because that meant that we could go a little crazier in terms of getting each other killed. Like we just started chucking each other off of all the platforms. It's just a fun time when you're playing with other people. So overall, I'd say I've had a very good time, and it's bodes well for the rest of my year of Mario experience if they do get this much better. So definitely looking forward to hitting some of those later titles as opposed to playing the rest of Mario 64.
I think another good thing about playing it multiplayer is like, obviously you've got the craziness of just going through the level, but there are certain points where if you are going for the green stars, and you kind of have to some extent to unlock some of the levels, there are some that are supposed to be kind of tied to a specific power up. There are some where you can't climb up unless you have the cat or something like that. But it's been a lot of fun when you have 3 people and you're like, all right, how are we going to do this? We don't have the power up. All right, someone jump on somebody else, pick them up, kind of throw them at an angle and try and get them up and over. I think because you can't do that in multiplayer. It's just the one. And when you run into those points, you're just like, all right, that means I have to come back and play this level again with that power up. But when you have multiple people, it's like, all right, how are we going to cheese this a little bit to get somebody up there to get the green star or the stamp or something? That's been fun too.
Yeah, what I love about
it's been working pretty well.
What I love about 3D World is that I feel like what Nintendo does is they take an idea and then they have multiple levels that build up this idea over time. And what I love is that I feel like 3D World does that in its individual levels. Like it's not afraid to throw out a mechanic after one time seeing it. You might not see it again in the entire game. Like the double cherries are so rare that when they show up, it's just insanity because they're never overused. They're only in 2 or 3 levels. I think we've seen them twice so far through 4 worlds. And the first time when Kevin grabbed the double cherry, Zach is like, what is that? What is that? And he murdered the doppelganger Peach because he thought
she was evil.
Yeah, chasing after me. It's one of the cosmic peaches. But not.
Yeah, and I just love the different. Every level has something different. The bounce pads, the blocks that change to the beat of the music, the panels that flip when you jump, the levels that are 100 seconds long. You have to sprint to the end of. There's just so many cool mechanics that they just.
I enjoyed the propeller helmet.
Oh yeah. That one's fun.
Yeah. There was a propeller helmet in just one level, one time.
The ice skate boots, too, that show up in a couple of levels. Yeah, it does keep it fresh.
Yeah, the cannon boxes where you can easily murder your friends with.
Yeah, friendly fire is not there.
Yeah, so it's just super fun playing through. I just don't ever get tired of this game. It's just every time I play through, it's with different people or I do something different. It's just a different experience. Yeah. I think this game's really holding up to my memory of it, and I had a great time playing through the first half with you guys, and the second half I'm sure will be just as fun.
Yeah, and just glad that
Absolutely love it.
That the internet worked well.
Yeah,
and it didn't bode
really
well to start, because we hopped in, and of course my internet, always being the piece of crap that it is just like connection unstable. I'm like, dear God. And then like walking around in the world at the very start, it was kind of jittery, and I'm like, oh boy, this isn't going to be good. And then we hopped into that first level, and it was fine. Like, it was good. I didn't notice any problems beyond that one that we had
really
randomly, which
there's a lot going on the screen at that one particular moment.
Yeah.
But considering
the game probably lags out a little bit there anyways, even if you're just playing single player.
Probably. Just considering Nintendo's track record in the past with online, it was good that, despite my on and off internet, that it was able to run as smoothly as it did for a full session. I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
great time.
We'll play more of that over the next couple of weeks, and
I hope so.
Play through that. Well, we're gonna have to play through it for Zach's Year of Mario, so it's got to happen.
Yeah, I got to beat it.
Yeah.
So, can't beat it without you guys.
We'll get there. All right. We got some time this week for an Ode 2 segment. We're getting part of the way through this year already, and that's a little terrifying. We're almost 3 months into the year now. What is that? 3, 6, 9, the fourth of the way.
Mark.
Yes.
Fourth of the way through the year already. It's going by fast. I can't believe that we're already in the second half of March. And that means that we got to start taking a look at possible Game of the Year contenders, because we're in March. We already got to start thinking about what's going to be Game of the Year in 2021.
Clearly.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been playing too many games that came out this year yet. I feel like a lot of the games are going to be backloaded, and then depending on when I get a PS5, that'll change things around. But that also means that we can speculate on games that haven't come out yet as to maybe a couple of games that you think are going to be on your radar for Game of the Year 2021. So first off, what have you played, if anything, that actually came out this year in 2021? Is there anything?
I think me personally, I've played very little, if anything, that's come out this year.
Because mine is just
I'm trying to think.
Mario 3D World, which I don't count, but Bowser's Fury I do count. So if there's anything, Bowser's Fury is the one thing that I would count.
Well, that's good, because I haven't played Bowser's Fury yet. Technically, I'm saving that until I beat 3D World. So I don't think I've technically beaten anything that's come out this year. Which is fine. There's still plenty of year left. I've got plenty of contenders on my mind. Thinking about it, the first one that comes to mind is clearly the one that comes out next week. That's Monster Hunter Rise. I think that's got a pretty good shot at being my most played game and most loved game of all time, if not 2021.
I think it's absolutely going to be your most played game of the year.
Oh yeah.
I don't think what else would
don't even
come
know.
Close.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely looking out for that one, and then shortly after that, as soon as I get a PS5, we're getting Deathloop in May. Deathloop I have very high expectations for. It's made by Arcane Studios, who have never let me down with a Dishonored game, and they've been releasing clips and just trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer.
How many more trailers do you need to see before you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick this game up?
Yeah, it looks good. So I'm definitely. That's going to be one of my first PlayStation 5 experiences, and I'm sure I'm going to at least like it. Hopefully it comes to be a contender for Game of the Year. And then things that I don't think are coming out that are slated for this year: God of War 2, doubt it's coming out. Final Fantasy 16, doubt it's coming out. Like we said, Horizon, probably coming out this year. I think that's got a fairly good shot. Forbidden West. That's going to be a pretty big AAA title coming out later this year. No More Heroes 3, probably going to be very enjoyable. And
not a Game of the Year type game to me.
No, but definitely
like
going to
popcorn romp, but not like
not like a big Game of the Year title. I get it.
Still
going to be pretty enjoyable. Yeah. So I think, and Life is Strange, True Colors, Game of the Year, guaranteed.
Okay.
Probably not, but
big call right here.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, that's a pretty good summation of all the things I think could be Game of the Year in terms for me personally, or the things that I'm planning on playing that stand a chance. I don't know about you guys. Logan, you want to go next?
Bravely Default 2, you started. That came out this year.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, we'll see how good it gets, but I don't think it's going to hit those Dragon Quest XI highs that propelled that to be one of my favorites of 2018 when it came out. But I like it a lot. Hitman 3, I like a lot, but I got royally stuck, and then my PS5 it just hasn't been in a place to play as much. And then I think those are the only things I played that came out this year. Plus Bowser's Fury, which is great, but it's such a small experience that it's kind of hard to compare that to other full games. But looking ahead, I think Monster Hunter Rise is the clear front runner. I think it's gonna be really tough for something to come out that I think I'll like more than that. But I think there's definitely some stuff that could. If Sports Story comes out this year, that could be a really big one. I think that if Halo Infinite is really amazing, I think that could be one. If I end up playing it this year, I have no idea what I'm doing with that game. If I end up playing it this year, that could be one that could be a contender. Nintendo had a projection this week that 2021 fiscal year, which starts in just a couple of weeks, they're projecting it to be their biggest year ever, and they're basing that off of marquee titles that they're releasing this year. And I don't really think we know what those are yet. I think that we don't really know the big fall titles yet. So if they're confident Breath of the Wild could come out this year, then that's obviously going to be a big contender. And other than that, I'm hyped for Mario Golf, but I don't think that would be a Game of the Year contender, but I am very excited for it. Horizon, I'm looking forward to. Not super pumped about it, but it's definitely excited to play it, and it could surprise me. But right now, Monster Hunter is the clear front runner for me. And of what I've played so far, I think Hitman 3 is amazing. I think it's an amazingly well-built game. It's just not my total type of game, which I think is what could keep it from hitting that top list. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good year. I think that there's still a lot of the calendar to be filled out in the fall that we still don't really know from some of the big publishers. But yeah, there's definitely some exciting stuff on the horizon.
Maybe Hitman 3 will make an appearance on Zach's list if he can get to it by the end of the year.
Probably.
Yeah, it's true.
As for me, we don't know about the Western release date yet, but Rune Factory 5 comes out in Japan pretty soon this spring. And I'm expecting good things from that, and its return to consoles for the first time in, a decade. So I'm looking forward to that. The Famicom Detective Mystery Club, I feel like that's one that could surprise me a lot and surprise a lot of people, kind of coming out of nowhere. I know it's technically a remake, but those games are ancient, so I feel like they're pretty
new
well
over here.
So I feel like that one could catch me off guard. I don't know if it would be enough to put it Game of the Year, but I could see it entering the conversation if it does turn out to be really good. It Takes Two, got to mention it. I was pleasantly surprised playing A Way Out after hearing about it from you guys, so I am looking forward to what It Takes Two turns out to be when that comes out in just another week. That thing is almost out as well. I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn a bunch playing through that a couple years ago, so I am looking forward to Forbidden West. Hopefully, 1, it comes out this year, and 2, I get a PS5 by the end of the year. Those are 2 things that have to happen for that to show up on the list. Yeah. But maybe both those things happen, and I can play it. I think
Nier Replicant is that
Nier Replicant. Yeah, I think that one's gonna be a sleeper for me. I don't know if I'm gonna be picking that up day one. It's like, man, I got so many other games that I'm still trying to play, but I did absolutely love Nier Automata, and people love the original Nier, and it's one that I'm keeping an eye on. I'm not sure if I'm gonna play it day one, but that could be another one that sneaks onto my Game of the Year list at the end of the year for sure.
I just thought another one for me. Kena Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, yeah.
That game looks amazing.
When is that coming out?
August.
Okay.
Yep, it's not for a while. But yeah, there's exciting stuff to look forward to. And then Mass Effect, not new game, so it doesn't count, but I think we're all really looking forward to getting our hands on that for really the first time. So it'll be new to us, which is really exciting.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to play, and of course there's a lot of stuff that I still need to play. I'm trying to catch up from last year.
It's going to be a big year.
Yeah. And before you know it, man, we're going to be into the fall. It's already these first 3 months have gone by in a flash. gonna blink and we're gonna be into the summer, and I'll be looking at buying a PS5, and all these games are gonna be coming out, and then it's gonna be the end of the year. That's how it happens every single year. But
Yep, it's gonna go quick.
yeah, but I am looking forward to the ride of 2021 in terms of games, because there is going to be some good stuff that comes out, and I'm sure that there's a bunch of stuff that will be coming out that we don't even know of yet that
Absolutely
will surprise us.
Oh, yeah.
That'll swoop right into our games of the year list. All right, a little bit of a shorter episode. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up? Anything you got?
Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Wait. Everyone's gonna have to wait for your thoughts on that for another couple weeks, though. Next week, is not going to be Monster Hunter Rise talk. Another episode will be coming your way on that. But in 2 weeks, I will be taking a complete backseat as you guys talk about Monster Hunter Rise for probably the entire episode.
Hyped.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Time.
Yeah. All right. That is going to do it for us on this week's episode of Ode to Games. We're here on Fridays, although that may be in flux over the next couple of weeks. That could be changing, so keep an eye on that. But for now, it's still on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you may use. Our website as well, odetogames.com, has the audio version of the podcast. The video version of the podcast goes up on our YouTube page, Ode to Games, so you can check that out there. You can find us on Twitter at Ode to Games. You can send an email to odegamescast@gmail.com. For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.